Okay, so we're back here. So that email I actually got earlier that I barely noticed of, where it was popped up on the side that talked about grades. Apparently, I submitted the wrong assignment to my professor here a few days ago, so I got that corrected and everything. But continuing on, so last episode we just worked on improving the blast characteristics of the material here. Now, of course, I don't know exactly what the client wants this to work as or how he wants it to handle, so I'll get back to him here later. But we're gonna go ahead and not mess with the code side of this, and we're just going to go ahead and finish up the, well, actually we may still get back in the code. We're going to finish off the other material types that are missing. So right now we do have woods, stone, and metal, but each of those needs 3 sub-materials. So we need a roof, wall, and floor tile. So we're going to have to make some textures for those, and then we're going to have to actually improve the characteristics. I also need to ask the client that I'm commissioning for this for if he wants it to behave differently based on the side. I hope he really doesn't, because I'm just going to flat out tell him no, I'm not going to do that, because it will take a lot of code to get that to function. And of course, well, I'm going to go with the normal reply is if you didn't tell me what to do when we started, then, well, I'm not going to do it. That's not to say I'm lazy, but I am not getting paid whatsoever at all for this. I think in total for like just the blast walls, I think I'm making like 40 bucks profit. Actually, I think I'm going to lose even more than that, because I think I did shell out a little bit of money on the creation of this. I just don't remember because I worked on this like a month ago. Anyways, so we need to get more materials, and the cool thing is all we have to do is just handle metadata placement. So there's not a lot when it comes to the actual textures. What will change is that each of the materials will have a different HP. I assume the floor tiles will be really strong, then the walls will be a little less stronger than that, and then the roofs will be really, really weak. That's kind of how it works in real life, but of course I'm going to leave everything to configuration, that way it makes sense. I'm probably going to actually toy with these guys again as well, because what I probably could do is set up some encoding to encode data directly into this object here. That way I'm storing this data on the object rather than using an enum for this, although we'll figure it out. By the way, there already is an HP config right there. I believe that is loaded. And yeah, that looks good. Okay. So we want to come down and want to get out of the core, even though I need to sync that up here in a second. But we want to go to these guys here and manipulate these guys. And then I'm going to actually, I need to open the core up again just because I need to look at the test objects. Actually, I think there's a test package here. I'm hoping there's metadata states for one of these. It doesn't look like there's metadata states for this guy. And I can't think of... I think ICBM's got some metadata states in there. This is another example where I really need to write down some stuff. I did it for the guns, so I haven't been as confused about the guns recently. But then I didn't write down the metadata state system for the blocks. And that's something I probably should work on here later. Especially to help you guys. If you guys ever want to get into mod development, then you could just start off with just making JSON content files, which isn't too hard. Pretty easy stuff. And I believe it's the launchpad is metadata states. Yep, here you go. So the substate system is really simplistic. It is not complicated whatsoever. It is meant to be that way too, because, well, I don't like doing hard work as much as another dev doesn't like to do hard work. So we want to grab these 3 guys, and of course we're going to have to do a little bit more with these, I think. Like, we're going to have to put some localizations per each, but right now what we want to do is we just want to come through and provide 3 different datas, so that way we can then change the textures. Let me open up Launchpad again. How do we do the subtypes? So we do the subtypes just by defining it's a block and then it has a different type. So we want to grab this, and then we just want to come down through and go, okay, you're now block dot 0, you're block dot 1. And actually, you know what? I think I have to do it this way. Almost messed up on that. There we go. Because each of the brackets is a different state, or a different object rather is what it is. And then we go to state 2. So this texture IDs, so this would be, yeah, stone wall. And then what we'll do is we'll say, okay, ID 1 is floor, and ID 2 is, why do we actually call the texture IDs this way? Probably the textures, yeah, the textures are even different when you get down here. That's actually wall.stone, so it looks like we're going to have a bit of a different naming scheme for each of these, which is not too big of a deal. And I miscopied that, didn't I? There we go. That's a little better. And we'll get those all set up here. get all 3D types, and then of course we're going to have to set up a little bit of number here so that way it doesn't overlap each other. And then we're going to have to rename each of these. So this will be floor, this will be roof, and then of course we just want to go through and just change this out from wall to floor, and this to roof. So we'll start with the stone one real quick and get this texture set up. It'll be a good default to work with, if I can remember where the package is. Here we go. If this will pop over here. And here we go. Source, main, resources, assets, Wojujo, textures, and then blocks. And we just want to, really what we want to do is just open this up in like Paint or something and just change it. So before we even change a single thing on this, we want to go File, Save As, and save as a different thing. I've failed to do this a few times, and when you're working with textures, always make sure if you're going to edit one and change it to a different thing, always save before you edit, because you will accidentally save over your object, and then you may not be able to reverse those changes. I've done that repeatedly. Anyway, so what we want to do for this, we actually are going to need 2 different textures for this, by the way. We're going to need a edge texture, so one that goes around the edge of the block, and then we're going to need a bottom texture. Actually, we're going to need 3, so we're going to need a top texture as well. And so we want to start off with, I guess, just doing just a little border on here, so you get like this little, this is going to look ugly. Yeah, we're not going to get a really good looking texture out of this. I can pretty much say that guaranteedly. And you know what, actually, let's get out of this, and I'm going to open this up with GIMP, because GIMP is a little bit easier to edit stuff with, because you can zoom in further than you can do with Windows. Windows has a limit on the zoom, and then you get a little better tools, like we can colorize, stretch, randomize. I can do overlays, which is a really important thing. So there are editor options to do. And, bark, dog's going for a sec. Just as I mute the mic too, she started barking again. She has no conception that there's nothing that's going to be bad here. So let's see. You know what? That doesn't look too bad. Let's just let's stretch this out here real quick. That way we complete this. And what I needed to do is get somebody to go make textures for me. Now, I'm not going to ask any of my normal people to do it unless they, because if I'm getting paid for this, then I need to make sure they get paid, and most of them don't do the paid thing. I tried that with Mord, and he really didn't want to accept any money. So let's go ahead and export this. Yeah, it looks okay. So this will make it for a nice floor tile. And then what we want to do is trying to think of how we want to handle the sides of it. What I think we want to do is just make these lines a little thicker. That way it's more distinct that this is a floor tile side. That looks like crap. This is the reason I don't texture often. So what I'm going to do is I just want to pull that up, bring that one tile up, and then we'll grab this guy, and if my selection bar didn't screw up, and we'll paste this and put them down here. That way, actually no, I didn't want to do that. I want to make this line thicker. Yeah, I mean, it looks okay. We want to kind of make sure this wraps all the way around so it looks like a connected tile system. And then to double it up, let's go ahead and get even a darker color. And then we'll border the tops here. Yeah, it looks like crap, but it's okay. We're not going for magic here. And then we want to export this as floor.stone. Hopefully I didn't override over the other one. Hopefully I didn't accidentally edit the wrong texture. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now let's open that up and make sure I didn't just make that same mistake I said to avoid. Yeah. The good news is I believe this guy's unedited. So what we just want to do is just rename these guys. So this will be, and we'll just call that walls real quick because we can't name it the same as the other wall here, but we can rename this guy and then come back and rename that guy again. Actually, you know what we can even do? I can do that, and then I can open up this stuff. What did I mess with in here? Oh, it looks like all the multi-block listeners got updated. Stage all. Unstage that guy. And stage all. And then, yeah, this is fixed. Okay, push that up. By the way, shout out to the guy who did our finished translations. I haven't actually like fully checked them, but he went ahead and gave us some finished translations for ICBM that probably work. Anyways, go ahead and, I guess while I'm in here, let me go sync Volts Engine 2, because we haven't done that yet. And then we'll go ahead and we'll do what I was about to say we're going to do. And then fixed load order of block data. Okay, push. Definitely need to get some JUnit testing, as I was saying like last time for that. And then the next thing we want to open up is we can find it is the commission mod. It's like literally the only mod I'm working on commission wise. As soon as I'm done with this, I'm pretty much done with freelancing. I like the ideal of it, but I don't at the same time. Yeah, we're missing something here. So it acts like it's not there, but it still is there. Have our textures not been syncing this entire time? Because it sees the PNG there. So we see the new PNG. We see that PNG, even though that one acts like it's changed. Why do you act like you're a modified file? Anyways, I guess we're gonna have to Control Z here and bring this guy back and then rename him, because for some reason GitKraken is not recognizing I deleted a file, and it's still there. So it acts like, well, it actually doesn't act like it's changed at all. So confusion is a good way to put it. Whatever, we fixed the problem. So we got our wall stone here now. We got our floor tiles. Now we're gonna need a bottom for the floor tile. Yeah, we'll need a bottom from a floor tile. So we're going to need to, I guess, just take this guy, and what I'm going to do for the bottom, I don't want the edge there. So I'm going to get rid of the edge for sure. This looks horrible. I'll have to go get somebody to make new textures first. So we'll export as, and we'll just call this bottom. Because I just need functioning textures, and I assume my client can find somebody who can make really good textures for this. I'll give them access to the repository, and then we'll call it that. We'll go ahead and discard changes. And what we want to do is come in here, and we just want to make sure everything is using the correct stuff. So that means we actually are going to need multiple textures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this guy up. I'm going to call him 1. And then I'm going to do a whole bunch of textures for this. It doesn't really matter what the numbers are. It doesn't change load order. Load order is pretty much whatever order it shows up in the files, how it loads. I don't even think it's actually that way either. So we got stone floor. So we want stone floor dot side. And of course we just come down here and we put dot side. So this is a really easy system. For those who are familiar with the newer JSON system for Minecraft, the newer system can at times feel easier than my system. I've been using the newer JSON system a lot because I've been updating my mods to the newer versions of Minecraft, and I've started realizing that this whole texture system is flawed, although I've realized that for a while. This whole system was... It worked. It would tell me that I needed to load textures, but it's not perfect. It definitely is not. Okay, then we get bottom. Did I actually call that bottom or did I call that bot? Floor side, yeah, I called it bottom, cool. So we made sure it's actually named correctly. And then with this is what you want to do is that you want to just, I think, do top. And then you'll have sides and you'll have bottom. Sides and then bottom. And this is something I kind of wish IntelliJ would do, is it would detect for duplications, because it doesn't do that. But this should work. We'll test it in a second. Of course, we're going to get a missing texture for the roof, because I don't have one yet. And we'll get a missing texture on all the other ones as well. And then we need to do localizations up here. And there's a few other tweaking settings and other things. And of course, we're going to have to do modified values. There we go, my cell phone. What is this? Mountain Dew Pitch Black. I didn't buy this. I bumped more soda off my brother. He doesn't mind. He went to Kroger's and for like, I think 10 bucks got like 9 cases of soda, which is pretty good when you think about it. It actually was not too bad price-wise. We used my Kroger card though, so that was the only reason I got, he's okay with me grabbing sodas. The only reason he got that price is because I have an ancient Kroger card that still has like the good prices on it. Actually, I think everybody gets the same prices. I'm proud of the fact I got this super old Kroger's card that I haven't updated at all. Even though every time I go in there, they keep saying, "Hey, do you want to get a newer card?" And I'm like, "No, I like my ancient card." You can barely read the barcode scanner off of it. Not saying I actually like Kroger's, by the way. Their prices suck so bad. Only every so often do you get good prices. I usually shop at Walmart because their prices are really good. And then occasionally Giant Eagle, but I only buy like things like chicken from them. Because their rotisserie chicken is actually pretty good. Myers is a little good too. Kroger's and Walmart sucks horribly though on their stuff. They don't seem to be, at least the ones here locally now, every location is going to be different. That's something that somebody's going to point out in the comments. Every location of a store is going to be different. Like a great example of this is there used to be a Subway down the street from where I lived in Lancaster. Great Subway. Then the Subway in the actual Walmart that's there and the one that's actually here locally are subpar, and then there's a couple over here that are horrible. To the point where it's like spitting in the food would make it taste better. Horrible. Anyways, we want to go ahead and check the new textures. Doesn't look any... Oh, because it's not populating properly. Why are we getting it twice in here? Yeah, we got type 0 twice. That's gonna be a defect with the block base. We'll fix that in a second. It's not too big of a deal. So this is the guy we actually want to work on, and you notice how his textures just are not working. Yeah. I'll have to check the render code in a second. So block 1, render type block. So we're not getting a missing texture system here. This is like flat out just not finding the texture ID. Wall.stone.1. So at least the localizations will be easy for this thing, because we don't have to do anything special. So I'm not even going to do anything up here. But this code isn't running. And it's going to be a pain to find where it's running at. Actually, I think I wanted block base, but we're not going to go to block base since I closed it. We're actually going to go straight to where I know where the code is at. And that's going to be down in the core here. Client. Actually, one of the reasons, by the way, I haven't updated to newer versions of Minecraft yet for this is there is a lot of defects still in the current version. Okay, so it should be texture JSON processor. Nope, that's the wrong one. It's going to be render block state. Okay. Probably block state render handler. No. Oh, this is something I plan to implement here later to allow you to do OB or not OBS static models. So it's not that. It's going to be this guy. Yep, here's a texture state. No, it's not it either. Okay, here's a block state guy. So this size, so we do got the right one here. And then we've got top, but it's, no wait, these are both the same. So bottom does work. So we got the right data. So let's pop this open and go back and look at this. So we got the right data. So top, bottom, and sides, these are all correct. And these are correlating down here. So we get missing textures if the textures weren't loading correctly. But we're flat out just not getting anything. So that tells me if it's doing this, then it's not grabbing the block state. So it's not getting this guy. So it's not probably getting the content ID, or it can't find this state. So that means we are going to have to open up the actual block code. Now, in 1.7, how you did the icons is it's actually in the block itself. 1.8 plus, it is a JSON-driven system. So I'm gonna have to rewrite all this code, which is a really suckish part. Good news is this is pretty much JSON-driven as it is, so I don't really have to do anything. I just have to make a wrapper, which is pretty cool. It's down here somewhere. Right here it is. So get icons. So we put a line here. So what is our, it found render data. So what is this? We're block wall stone. Our metadata is 1, so we're the correct guy. I was just not finding the state. Okay. So did you find the render state? You did find a render state. If we open up the state, we can open up the texture IDs, and look at that, stone floor side. So if we pop open to our wall here, stone floor side, and down here should be Wojujo's stone floor side, which goes to floor stone side. So the ID is correct. So what's going on? So if we come back over to the block base, pull my debugger open, and we go down, and we get the icon, and we made it down, yes, we got this. So we should have got an icon. We're not getting icons though. I am confused. The only thing I can think of is that the icon returned null, so what we want to do is we do the thing here. I accidentally hit cap lock. No, because that's not right. Because I mean, here's what's running down here is this line. So that's where we're actually getting to. But I could swear I saw that line run. Side 1, meta 1. But I could swear I saw that run. And it is running. What in the world? I'm not seeing anything in the console other than like crashed missiles being added to the system. So why are we getting block wool down here? So let's take a look at this. Where's our method call? So this is where we're getting get icon, get block state. I mean, it's all working correctly, but some reason we're getting this line. If listener dot contains icon, okay, so we're not doing that. So we get icon JSON, and it's not identifying a meta entry. So I need to clear the world. Something's definitely messed up. Let's not clear this world, maybe. No, actually, I'm just going to trash this world. I can always make new worlds. It doesn't kill me. Delete this guy. Delete this guy. Create a new world. Probably should do a super flat. It would be much easier. Much better on my render time, too. But these are those little small bugs, by the way, you run into that just absolutely grind things to a standstill. And a lot of people don't understand that. But that's actually what causes development and software and mods and everything else that takes so long, is that you get things that don't make sense. And it's... Yeah, because if you look at Stone 2, by the way, it's complete missing icon. You look at Stone 1, it's like, oh, we're going to use the meta-driven icon. Let's get rid of that guy. So this is what we're looking at. And we're getting the wool icon. Oh, we're not, actually. Oh, that's right, I have to rerun a state. So we call get icon, and it comes down here. So some reason, for whatever reason, this isn't working. And at this point, I need to just start recoding pieces so I can understand what is going on. Is it failing to find the state? Is it failing to find the icon? What is it doing that it got down to this point? That it actually believes that it needed to go to the null state. So get down here. So render data is solid. Did it even make it down to this loop? Okay, so I want to follow this guy. Okay, what is our... Yeah, I can't see the loop here. So we find a state, block.1. It gives it, oh, it gives us a null icon back. That would do it. What's it giving us a null icon back? Side 3? There shouldn't be a null on side 3 unless it's missing. Let's go back to that. So we're on side 3, block.1. Go into U. Texture data.get texture data. Okay, if we look up at the texture IDs up here, we do have 6 IDs. Side 3 is floor. So we want to go in and get textures. If we open textures, oh, there's a lot of textures. There's wall. Wall. There's roof. Probably spelled it wrong, so. Iron wall. Okay, so you know what? I'm gonna just close this straight out because I think I understand what's wrong. It is something wrong with our data system here, and oh, we got a duplicate right there. I would not make a. I would help if that wasn't broken like that. So stone floor outside. Stone floor outside. So we got textures, and we get sides of this. There's our top. There's our bottom. So let's just do this real quick. I'm going to just copy this. And this would help if this was named correctly. Floor, stone, stone, stone. It just needs to be named at top. I doubt that's what's causing it though. But we're going to go ahead and just make sure that these are all exactly the same by just copying and pasting real quick. And then if that isn't what's causing it, then I'm not quite sure what's up. The domain looks good. Yeah, because we're in the right domain. Yeah, right there's the domain. So that looks good. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's actually something I also need to ask my client if he wants the walls rotatable. And I can hear my dog barking outside, which means somebody let the dog outside without me telling me. Happens quite a bit too. Like my mom will go to work and she'll let the dog outside and then not tell me, and then I'll wake up 2 hours later and the dog's been outside for 2 hours with like no shelter or anything. And it's like, if you're gonna let the dog out, let her back in, because the dog can only stay outside for a couple minutes at a time when it's this hot out. Because a small dog, heat doesn't really work for small dogs. Even big dogs have the same problem, but they can last like 15 minutes or so. Hell, I can't even last that long outside. I think we got like 103-degree weather here a few days ago. It was like really, really hot. That stuff was literally, you could cook eggs on the sidewalk. Though that only lasted for a few hours. That was, I think, around noonish. I remember I was outside and like wanted to stroke out. This is coming from somebody who used to go camping 2 weeks out of every year during the middle of the summer when it was the hottest you could get. And even I can't stand this weather. Although usually when I went camping, even though it was the hottest weather, it usually was also the rainiest point during the summer too. So usually I got rained on, so it balanced itself. You get a day that was really hot and then the next day would be not so hot. Although of course you get the high humidity too, which really sucked. I actually miss camping though. And because ever since I went into like doing electronics and computers and stuff, I kind of stopped camping because, I mean, you kind of get so stuck into the whole idea. Wait, we're missing a block here. Pretty sure we had something there. Oh, we're getting a render method. Hey, it's working. Ish, I think. Yay! That was just a really simple, like, problem. So that doesn't look too bad. I could see somebody building out of this, although it's really horrid, but I think my client could figure out how to get himself some nicer texture. So we got our floor tiles here, so we'll go ahead and build a little hut. Yeah, that'll work. And then we'll get our wall tiles here. What I should do is do some connected textures here, but I am not being paid enough to do connected textures. Because how connected textures usually work is either you take two options for them. Either you manually generate a ton of connected textures, or you generate the textures in software. And both those options really suck. They both are really tedious. The only difference is the in-software one is I can go take that code and reuse it somewhere else. So we want to put a roof up here, and then I'll just finish this off and make this like a little pillbox. Put like a little divot back here so you can get into the pillbox and be like shooting out, shooting out. Can't really crouch in this game. Can't really go prone either without any really nice mods. It's kind of sad. I guess what we could do is make a divot down here. I'm trying to think of like how I used to build pillboxes and bolts. Although I used pistons though, so a bit more engineering involved. Could do something like that, and then what you could do is do something like this. So you're sitting down here, you can't get shot, and then you come up here, and then you can shoot over, come back down. Of course, this would be bigger if you would actually be doing that. But let's get our floor tile set up, and then all we have to do is duplicate this over and over again, and we're done. Which I will do later, so after this episode, we won't come back to this mod for a little bit. So we'll go ahead and what we want to do is just repeat this down here. The only difference is we want to make sure we prefix this with the roof tile. So grab this guy, and then we just got to make our textures. And this is where I'm actually going to show off something real quick. Is a lot of people have been asking, can you what's with the numbers? The numbers don't matter. You can do something like this, and this is exactly the same as doing this down here. So what you could actually do with this is instead of calling this 2, you can call this 2.a, and you can call this 2.b, and it should load, at least in theory. The numbers, the only reason to have these is that you cannot have a duplicate name in JSON or to override. At least that's how the JSON system works. If I had my own custom implementation of JSON loader, then it wouldn't matter. You could do whatever you wanted. But we do have to do it a certain way or it doesn't work. So this will be top, dot side, dot bottom. And of course we just go and repeat this down here. So this is where I was talking about also that I kind of want to get rid of this whole texture load system because it's very redundant, because you're coming down here and you're essentially repeating a lot of data. The only reason I kind of have it around is that you can make your key something different than what your name is. So if somebody changed the texture name, I don't have to go around and change like 50 keys. That's one of the only reasons I actually do like this system. But what I might do is I might do a pseudo simplistic version. So if what happens if you come down here and you cannot find this key in the texture map, then go ahead and just try to load a texture of domain with this name of the type of block you're trying to render. So if it's a block, you're going to look in the block package for it. Or you could maybe prefix this with block or prefix it with something that the system would understand that you want to do this. Or maybe you could do something like this, and you could just go, okay, we want our texture to be with this name and domain and everything else. So you can just put that thing up here. I'll experiment with it. I'll see where it's going to go, and I'll toy with it over time. And I'll listen to your guys' opinion too. So if any of you guys want to use the system and want it to behave differently, just tell me. I'm open for possibilities. I don't want to build a system that only I'm going to use, because I built Volt's engine actually for a lot of people to use, even though I'm the only person still using it. The dream is one day to have tons of people use it, to have it be like Forge, but not replace Forge, of course, because I still want Forge to exist and I still depend on it heavily. But I want there to be a system that goes between your mod and Forge, so that way you don't get hit by those heavy updates. One of the big reasons why mods do not update is occasionally when Minecraft changes the backend, Forge does not accommodate it in any particular way, so now you're spent with doing a lot of heavy rewrites, and with a lack of documentation, it's really difficult to update. And then people get hit by that and they don't recover very well. Anyway, so we want to do a roof tile. I'm trying to think of like how we want to do the roof tile. So what I want to say is let's start with the base stone tile this time, and we'll get something a little bit unique. Hopefully try not to override our stone tile again. So file, export as, and this will be roof.stone. And we'll start with doing the top. Go ahead and do that. I can hear my brother yelling at his cat. This cat is obsessed with going outside. So any chance somebody will open a door, she'll just dart right out. So we got this. So roofs are usually a little bit more bland looking. So really what we want to do is just kind of make a blandish tile. Well, actually, do we want to make a blended tile? We do actually want to make this look good. I may come back and redo the floor tile too. And apologies if you can hear all that background noise going on in the background. My brother's deciding like he wants to do dishes at this very second. Although I don't blame him, I'm uploading to YouTube, so he can't play any of his internet games that he so depends on. So, maybe something like this. That doesn't look even. Oh yeah, because we're extra tiles here. So let's go ahead and do this. Oh, come on. Yeah, that doesn't want to work. Okay. Do something like that. That way we get some even tiles here. And I'm just going to duplicate... stupid software. Just duplicate that over and over again. And that gives you something that looks okay. File, export as, top. So that'll be the top. So that'll be the, if you're looking from the outside down, that's what this would look like. And then, what do we want the inside to look like? I want to say the inside should look a little bit more consistent. Yeah, that'll work. File, export as. This will be the bottom. We'll see what this looks like in game, and of course I'm probably going to see if I can find somebody to do textures for me. Yeah, That's not too bad. And now we want to do a side one, so we're going to keep consistent with the side, actually. You know what? Actually, I'm going to close that. So discard changes. And then what we want to do is we want to grab the floor stone side. I'm going to drag this window over to my other thing here. Pop this right here. Zoom in to our system here. And we want to use this guy, but we want to make it look different. And the easiest way to do that would be just to take this system here. So take these center lines we have and just kind of, oh, that looks like crap. So let me grab what we did with that roof here a couple seconds ago. So the bottom, I didn't want to do that. I kind of want to change my my default here back to opening with let's actually hide view, switch to this, and then I'm just going to paste this repeatedly. Get some randomization in it too while I'm at it. I don't know if this is actually how you're supposed to make randomized textures, but it kind of works for me, so just copy and paste and then just inconsistently place it back down to try to get some kind of... We're actually, the only thing we're ending up with is just a mess here, to be honest. Like, Morgan's going to come here and watch me do this here, like, one of these days. He's going to be like, oh, you're not supposed to do it that way. That's his comment. That's been his comment before. It's like, oh, you don't do it that way. That's bad. Okay, so this is our side tile. Export, export. So discard changes, and we should now have 3 tiles. So roof stone top. We just redid our floor. Derp. I'm just gonna hit this real quick. I'm going to leave it because it does look a lot better than the original, but I accidentally copied it. So I said you always want to export first. It's a habit I haven't even developed yet, but it's something you kind of want to develop habit-wise of always exporting, because you'll make the mistake I just made and you'll export over your stuff. But I'm going to reopen this up in Paint real quick, and what I want to do is get rid of the bottom here and then double up the top line. That way you got some kind of difference in the appearance. There's a lot of work that needs to be done with this. These textures are, in my opinion, not very good. I know somebody's going to find them and like them, but I'm looking at them like they don't really feel like what they should be, and I'm not sure what I need to head directional-wise. Although, to be honest, I really am liking the distortion pattern a lot better, but it's not connected, it's not symmetrical. It's really asymmetrical is the way to put it, and that doesn't really work well for Minecraft textures. But let's go ahead and pop in game. We got everything set up, and we'll go ahead and look at it, and then we'll fix the localizations. Thanks, bro. Brother just brought me food. I'm actually pretty happy about that, because I still need to make food, because when I took that break here between the last episode, I did not make food. The only thing I really did was go walk my dog and check my email, answer bug reports, reject a few people who were trying to ask me to make mods for them, but they were like, oh, I'm only willing to pay you $100 for this mod that's going to take you like 500 hours to make. I'm not even joking on that one. So this guy wanted me to do a dragon, so like the Ender Dragon basically, but a little bit more complicated, better. He wanted Skyrim level animations, so like landing on train and stuff, which, by the way, animations are not enough to do the Skyrim system. If anybody's actually looked into how Skyrim does their dragon landing, they go through the map and they figure out every spot that dragon can land on, like buildings, for example. So if you ever see a dragon in Skyrim land on a building, that's been pre-engineered into the game. Now, if he lands in the open terrain, so if like he lands in the middle of the forest or something, that's not, as far as I understand, pre-planned. That's where there is some AI logic that determines he can land there. But this guy, he wanted me to be able to get it to land on buildings procedurally, which, by the way, is almost impossible. So I would have to be able to tell the AI to identify a ledge he can land on it smoothly, Then so he wanted that. So that's the only thing he wanted, by the way. He wanted me then to make it where he can put cannons on the back of the dragon. Put like Blastoid. So you ever seen like Blastoids from Pokemon? He wanted that. So he wanted to be able to have cannons that fired off. So I would need to have to make a dragon that can do that. Which, by the way, I can actually make a flying dragon fire weapons. That's not the hard part. But then he wanted to only pay me like, I think $120 is what he wanted to pay for that. And even though I can make all that, he wanted that. And then on top of that, he wanted to keep the mod and keep it private. So usually I offer really low prices on freelancing, and only if I get to keep the mods. Because then what I'll do is I'll turn around and go on the Curse, I'll upload the mod on Curse, and then I'll remake my money that way. Because I can profit off a Curse usually a little bit better than I can get off freelancing. So where I make $50 off freelancing, I can turn around and Curse and then make like $300, $400 over like a period of a year. So that really pays off for the amount of work that I've put into it. So, you know, that doesn't look half bad. It gives you a difference of textures, and then I'll just go ahead and talk to the client about what he wants texture-wise and everything. But that looks not too bad. That looks pretty good inside. I am going to redo the floor tiles. That's a given now. I'm redoing the floor tiles. They just don't look like good. At least the tops of them. But yeah, so that client wanted that. And there was another guy, he wanted a Magisword clone. I told him I wouldn't do that for copyright reasons. Because you don't fuck with Disney. Or I'm pretty sure Disney does that one. I could be wrong. That could be somebody else's. But yeah, you don't mess with big producers when they have content. And Magiswords is something that is definitely copyrighted, and they definitely would go after you for. For those who are not familiar with that, it's a Cartoon Network show where you have a sword that does magical things. I have thought about cloning in the past. I think it's where the guy got it from. Is I was talking about I would like to make a mod like that, but every time I think about it, I keep going. If you get too close to it, then you could easily get sued because you are infringing on their copyrights. I would have to spend some time thinking about that mod. But yes, that looks good. I just got to repeat this for the other two material types, and I just got to spend some time working on the textures, and then I got to modify the HP values. But before we go, we'll finish this off by me just pummeling the crap out of this with a rocket launcher. And of course, I need to fix the rocket launcher too. I'm not getting paid by enough for this client either. I think that in total, I've made $1,000 off this client over a period of like 4 months. And I haven't even, and that's if he pays me the rest of it too. Actually, no, it's less than $1,000. I think it's like $600. Which, by the way, for these goes, that's a lot of money. It's not. It really isn't the amount of work I put into these. I put a huge amount of work in these mods. And on top of that, I pay a lot of bills now too. So I actually am helping pay with the mortgage on this place, which means it's like, I think the payment's like over $2,000. So power bill by itself is a couple $100 per month. And this doesn't include the business stuff. So BuiltBrokenModding actually does have business expenses. I think I pay almost $200 a year for just the domains now. And they go up every single year. And then luckily I haven't had to pay for any of my service. Oh, this isn't taking any damage. Go figure, I will do like a matter of a couple updates. What in the world is going on? Ah. It should have broke by now. There it goes. I mean, the material inside broke, which is it shouldn't have. Hold on, I'm gonna shoot the ground over here. Oh, that's still working. Okay, the durability on this is a bit higher than it should be, and I wonder what I messed up. But I'll get to that later, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. So I'm going to try to do another episode today on ICBM development, and then later in the evening we're going to do another Let's Play of either Ark or Minecraft. I haven't figured out which. If I can get my Ark server going, we're definitely going to do that. But we've been having some technical difficulties getting it set up because Ackless is still figuring out how to do Ark survival, and they haven't perfectly got it done yet. It is really good, though. Their servers are running amazingly. But I'll end with that, and I'll see you.